In today's video, we're going to crack open this Suzuki Samurai case, install some 6.5 reduction gears, a twin stick, heavy-duty output shaft, and a full rebuild. If you're working on a Samurai, check out ZuksOffroad.com. They supplied me with these parts for this build, have great customer service, fast shipping, and all those Suzuki parts you need. Please excuse the interruption. That recommendation was just not enough. I'm all done now. Transfer cases there. Watch the rest of the video. Zuks Off-Road was super awesome. I just want to say that I ended up texting the owner or someone, I think it's the owner, while I'm working on it, and he's texting me back. I showed him some pictures and was stuck on this one spot, and he was like ding 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 back and forth. Just amazing customer support. Their prices are right on par with Summit and other companies, but the customer service is through the roof. So I just wanted to say that. So ZuksOffroad.com, links in the description. Back to the video. I've rebuilt tons of Spicer 18 Willys transfer cases, but I've never touched one of these, so it's going to be a new experience. Just from looking at the parts and the design of this, I think it's going to be really similar, but I'm sure it'll have some quirks that I haven't encountered before. So I watched a couple YouTube videos, so I think I'm an expert now. So let's crack into it. Here it is with the case apart. So this was a marketplace find, so I had no idea what I was getting into, but it looks pretty good. The gears all look good. Bearings seem okay, and there was, most importantly, no water or big metal chunks down inside the case. So, and I didn't see any cracks. So we're pretty much replacing everything. As I look at it, it definitely does look super similar to a Spicer 18. I like that the needles are caged. This is like the old early Spicer 18s with the small shaft had caged needles like this on the intermediate shaft. Has thrust washers. One thing, I'm not doing a step-by-step because there's a million videos, but I will point out a couple highlights that I found. This speedometer bullet, they call it, has to come out for the case to separate. That drops in on the bottom side of the case, and there's an O-ring. I just heated it up a little bit and put some vice grips on it and tapped, and it came right out. So especially when you're dealing with these aluminum cases, be gentle. If something's not coming apart easily, stop, check, make sure you have everything apart. So there's two detent balls on the outside. One we have to take out on the inside, and there is a pill in these, just like on a Spicer 18, that we're going to take out so I can have two-wheel drive low range. And these use dowel pins, and they get a little rusty, so that might be holding it together, but don't stick your pry bar in there and go to town on it. These cases don't feel that sturdy. So I'm going to keep going on this. We'll get it all stripped down, clean up the parts, and then put it back together. Here's a good comparison of the 6.5 kit next to the stock parts. See the difference in the gear sizes, and this is the heavy duty front output shaft. You can see this these little teeth that lock it into four-wheel drive are much thicker. These are prone to stripping out. And then here's probably the biggest difference you can see visually is the intermediate gear, how much bigger the 6.5 kit is. So those are the pieces. Everything is stripped down, cleaned, and ready to be reassembled. So this is kind of a new process for me, because on the Spicer 18s you don't have to, you just check the shaft end play on the output and that's it. But on the Samurai you have to get measurements for the distance between the bearing mating surfaces, and compare them to the overall length of the shafts, and your tolerances. After you have the gasket and the shims in there, you want 2 to 6 thousandths of free play in there. That'd be like your shaft end play on a Spicer 18. So got the depth mics out and the squares and parallel bars, and got measurements on here, and we'll be good to go. So I have the transfer case completely ready to dry fit. It's measured and I should have the right shims in there. So we'll check it out, make sure everything feels good. And this thing is almost ready to be done. And I'm glad, because it wasn't that much fun. Well, there it is. Finally got it all back together, everything fitting properly. All the ranges work. So now it's just get the flanges on, and I'm gonna paint it and bolt it up behind the RX-7 transmission, hopefully for good, for a while. I don't know what all these extra parts are for. I must not need them. Extra bearings. Well, here's the transfer case all reassembled and mounted to the transmission, and it's ready to get put in the Jeep. So I'm running the Zuks off-road Siamese twin shifter kit. It's really well made, has a nice aluminum machined piece that goes in there and replaces all the plastic stuff that was in there from the factory. And if you take the little detent ball out, you can have the low-range two-wheel drive, which I love in the Jeeps. And the shift pattern on these, for this, it's going to be, this is the four-wheel drive selector. So two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and then this is the range selector. So all the way back is high range, and neutral, and low range. So that's in 4 low, that's 2 high. And then once it's in the Jeep and I have the seat back in and everything, I'm gonna make a shifter for the main transmission to make sure it's comfortable and ergonomic. So this whole setup's ready to bolt back in the vehicle. I gotta work on my trans tunnel and my clutch before I permanently mount it, because it's gonna be a lot easier to work on it without everything in there. But we're gonna be rolling along pretty good now once it's back in. Do the radiator, exhaust, and start working on the wiring and the fuel system. I'm ready to get this thing mounted in there and start hooking it up. We're gonna be rolling along and hopefully hear this thing brapping pretty soon. If you notice behind me, there's a scale on the hook. Next video, we're weighing the rotary and the L134. I'm excited about that video. Stay tuned for that one.